Hi, Marie Filion here, and today we're talking about something called the place model. So it's how we redirect our children and really help them in bonding to us. So neurodynamic change of attachment focused treatment. So what we want to do is remember neuro is your brain. So how do we move the brain into going into attachment? So what happens with kids that have an experience that tells them that they're not safe? They end up with something called blocked trust. And actually blocked trust can even cause processing issues. So you're going to see issues in school also. And what happens is children suppress the attachment system because they can't depend on it. Because attachment means pain. Okay? And the separation, the pain that comes with that separation. So they don't want to trust anymore. So we need to reawaken that child's attachment system. So learning to feel safe with experiencing the pain of separation and the need for comfort. So they're so scared that there's going to be separation. They're like, we're just even going to shut this down. We're not even going to do this anymore. So brain-based model of learning is involved in the child's journey from mistrust to trust. So in the brain, we can have two different things. We can have lower down, we have this unsafe, and then we have the safe. So just to show you what happens in the brain. So here you can tell the child is lower down in their brain. So see right here, very low in the brain. And so the trust, different part of the brain. Okay. So here we're just going down. We're going further down. So when they feel safe here, then we can come up here to what we call the prefrontal cortex, the cortex, and so they're able to think. But here they're just reactive. There's no thinking going on. Okay? And so there's two relational systems of bonding and social hierarchy. And so there's a cute little orangutan for you, and there's a very stressed out little orangutan for you. So getting close, social engagement system. So it's like, yeah, getting close is good. There's nothing bad's going to happen. Okay, so it's based on relationship. That's our oxytocin, our dopamine, our prolactin. And then we have keeping your distance and social avoidance. So your defense system, so knowing your place. So children are often told, you need to know your place. And so they know their place. Their place is not to get close. Okay. So poor tending shifts the dynamics from bonding to hierarchy. So instead of the bonding, now they're worried in who's the boss here? You know, what's the hierarchy? Instead of just being open and connected. Okay. So good tending promotes development of bonded relationships. So the attuned parent. So block trust. So when kids have to play defense, by suppressing the joy and the pain of connection. So they lose out on the joy of connection too. This is a cute little guy and he's pretty connected. Oh, he's not so connected, but he's upset. But here's somebody that wasn't connected, right? So this is what this little face ends up being if they don't connect. So you can see this little guy here, he's upset, but he's expressing his pain. And then, of course, he's expressing his joy. You see how this is a worried little face. And so you start seeing these little faces, and then they develop into the not so happy man that we have there. So self-defense, so they suppress the growth of the higher brain regions because they're very deep into their more reactive brain. So the healing process, we're helping children recover the ability to feel the joy and the pain of connection. Okay, and that's important. We need to realize that there is pain and connection because there's a chance of that person leaving. Okay, so early experiences with caregivers program the child's amygdala for living in safety or danger. So that little amygdala, which is our fear center, really gets programmed. And that poor little amygdala is just trying to keep us safe, but boy, does it ever program. So then it tells us we're not going to be safe. If we get close, we're not going to be safe. Or it tells us if we get close, we are going to be safe. And those messages obviously are subconscious, right? So that little worried face and that little happy face. Okay? So there's that amygdala right there. Okay? So what is his amygdala telling him, and what's this child's amygdala telling them? Completely different messages. And that's what we need to understand. So it's experience dependent. Epigenetic is just what changes after birth. So what is written into our systems? So is it written into our systems to trust, or is it written into our systems to mistrust? So what happens and what parents need to realize is, just like you check your appearance before you go out, realize that you need to check your thoughts, because children pick them up more than you think. So in the 1990s, we discovered certain neurons, and they're right here behind our forehead. They're called mirror neurons. And so we walk into a room and we can get kind of the feel of what's going on. And that's not some mumbo jumbo, it's an actual thing, right? It's interesting, every mammal has them. But of course the cat's mirror neurons are really tiny because they don't care as much about what you think, right? Humans have big mirror neurons. So traveling to what we call the cingulate. And so that's the part of the brain that is in between the emotional brain and the thinking brain. And so we have to convince that. It's kind of a gatekeeper. It's kind of a gear shifter. And so if we don't shift that gear, we don't shift from pain of rejection to sadness of separation to the joy of connection. And so we need to convince our brain that it's okay. We can do this, so to speak. Okay. And so I'm not feeling any pain, so I don't need your comfort, is what children who mistrust. Okay. And so then there's the place model. So we'll get into what those are. So adults using voice, your face, your gestures to enforce and encourage that child. Okay. And so then we can go into that thinking brain and the child feels safe. So I'm feeling sad and I need comfort. Okay. So this child here doesn't want to admit that they're feeling sad, or sometimes they don't even realize they're feeling sad because they've really toned things down. Okay, they've turned it off. So thanks, I'm feeling soothed and happy. But this child doesn't even want to be soothed. Okay, it's like I can do it myself because it's been painful. So how do we shift from mistrust to trust? And the big key is the element of surprise. Okay, so a child is used to, this is the way it goes, and this is the way it's going to happen every single time. And so if we can use different actions that are playful and loving and accepting and curious and empathetic, and the child goes, wait a minute, people don't usually react to me like this. And so that mistrust, that surprise just goes, wait a minute. And so what it does is it interrupts the neural connections to not trust, and surprising the mistrusting brain by violating the expectations about caregivers' reactions. So when a child does something very shocking, I had one, I think she was about 13, and she came into my office and she's like, I hate you, like really intensely right in my face. And I just turned to her very gently and I said, well, thank you for telling the truth. And she was like, she could not believe I had said that. And she was still kind of upset. And we got through the session and her parents were there, which were really good. And the next time she came in, she had drawn me this beautiful picture and she said, you get me. And so I had given her something totally different than what the average person would have done if somebody yells, I hate you in your face, right? She placed it's a formula for therapeutic confusion. So that's our goal, to confuse the children. Okay, so it discombobulates the child's negative expectation, activating the child's curiosity. And they say you're weird. I get called weird all the time. I'm like, excellent. It's working. That's good. Are you scared of me? Nope, not scared of you. Good. Excellent. Okay, so here are the steps from mistrust to trust in the journey to attachment. So stage one is that automatic, mindless, you're mean, I'm bad. So when they say you're mean, a lot of times the underneath is I'm bad. So stage two is that confusion. Whoa, this is weird. You understand why I don't trust you? And you aren't angry about it? I haven't disappointed you? And so stage three is that, should I approach you? Should I avoid you? What should I do here? Should I trust? Should I not trust? How am I going to do this? So stage 4 is just practicing trust over that mistrust. So that automatic, I'm going to mistrust. Oh, I'm going to venture out and trust this person. See what happens. Oh, nothing bad happens. I can trust you and I'm a good kid. Cool. Okay. So now we talk about the parenting brain. So we get triggered by our children too. So we have a self-defense system we need to be careful of. So the parent or teacher executive system, right? And so we need to turn that off. We need to control our amygdala so that we don't trigger that child, okay? Oop, there we go. So we need to feel safe. So we need to have our approach system on as opposed to our self-defense. Oh, I know this kid. This kid's going to do it again. So we can't get into that line of thinking, okay? We need to get into the reward system. Wow, that kid's coming close to me and I'm going to help that kid with that surprise and we're going to do it differently. So the child reading system, we need to be reading that child. What is it that child is afraid of? And so when I'm working with a kid or an adolescent, I often state what they're actually afraid of. It's like, do you think it's kind of weird that you're talking to me? You just come right out. It's like, yeah, it is kind of weird. I'm like, yeah, it really is kind of weird. So they're surprised that I'm even bringing it up. Aha, I'm in now. So meaning-making system. So as an adult, be careful about what meaning you put into that child's behavior. Okay. So mindful compassion based on the parent and the teacher. So we need to cultivate compassion for the mistrusting child. We need to muster warmth. We need to stay delight in some aspect of your child. I have one child I'm working with. Well, he's an adolescent. He's 13. And he has the most gorgeous shock of orange hair. And I'm like, that is gorgeous hair. So he comes on and I'm like, delight, hey, dude, how you doing? Right? So that delight, they need to see the delight in your eyes when they walk into the room. You need to stay in the game. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Endure what feels like rejection and know it for what it is. It's misplaced mistrust. It's not truly personal. It's generalized mistrust. They do it to anybody. So enhance your approachability. Work at making yourself safe to be near. Practice catching and releasing your own defensive reactions. Strengthen your capacity for deep relaxation and exhaling, because sometimes we hold our breath when the kid gets close to us. Identify and desensitize your hot buttons and your triggers. Maintain a good support system, very important. And remember to play, very playful. So if you have any questions about the video, please put a comment. You can visit my website. You can email me, and I am available for consultation. So thank you so much for listening. Take care. Bye.